Assalamu alaikum, dear students. Today our topic is biotic pollination or zoophily. So the meaning of zoophily is transfer of pollen grains from anther of one flower to the stigma of another flower with the help of biotic agents or animals. Okay, and based on the type of animal involved, we have different types of zoophily. First of all, entomophily, then ornithophily, chiropterophily, and melanchophily. Okay, today we'll be talking about entomophily. Entomophily simply means the transfer of pollen grains from anthers of one flower to the stigma of another flower with the help of moths, bees, wasps, butterflies, beetles, ants, flies, etc. Or simply, you can say the transfer of pollen grains from anthers of one flower to the stigma of another flower with the help of insects. So, pollination caused by insects is known as entomophily. Now, you have different types of insect pollinators. These pollinators they differ with respect to their behaviors. For example, bees, flies, and beetles they are diurnal pollinators. इसका मतलब ये है they cause pollination during daytime. While as moths are nocturnal pollinators, they cause pollination during nights. And among the insects, beetles are the earliest known insect pollinators, and pollination by beetles is specifically or technically named as cantharophily. Okay, pollination by beetles is technically named as cantharophily, and pollination by ants is named as myrmecophily. And the example of flower which is pollinated by ants is Orthocarpus pusillus, which is commonly named as dwarf owl clover. And among insects, bees are the most common pollinators. They cause pollination in 80% plants. If there are 100 plants pollinated by insects, almost 80% of those plants are pollinated by bees. Now, one very important question is why do insects visit the flowers? They cannot cause pollination free of cost. Instead, they visit the flowers for their personal interests, for their personal gains. Okay. The insects they visit the flowers for obtaining pollen, nectar, or in some cases shelter. And some insects they have been found to visit the flowers for laying their eggs. Example is that of Amorphophallus. This plant has the largest inflorescence and the tallest flower. And this inflorescence, it is used by some insects for laying their eggs. Now, while picking up the food, the insects they deposit the pollen grains which are brought from another flower over the stigma, and they in turn get dusted afresh with the pollen grains from the present flower. जब एक insect visit करता है एक flower को, it deposits the pollen grains which are already present on the insect body, and it also gets dusted by the pollen grains of the current flower in which it is currently present. However, it has been found that all insect visitors are not the pollinators. Some insects they visit the flowers only for getting the pollen grains and nectar. They are named as pollen robbers or nectar robbers. Now, the characteristics of entomophilous flowers. Some important characteristics. The first one is the flowers are colored for attracting the insects. Moths are attracted towards white color. Reddish color, it attracts butterflies. Honeybees are attracted towards bluish, purplish, violet, yellow flowers. So different insects they get attracted towards different colors. Both petals and sepals are well developed in case of entomophilous flowers because the flowers need to be very much strong. Okay, they need to attract the insects so that that is why sepals and petals are well developed. Petals are usually colored. However, there are some instances where petals are small in size but they are not showy. Okay, at that times the other flower parts they become conspicuous, they become more apparent. For example, in case of bougainvillea, the bracts they become colored. Bracts are the leaves, okay, in the axil of which a flower arises. Here you can see these are the bracts which have become large and showy in case of bougainvillea. So where the petals are not showy, other flower parts they become colored to attract the insects. हमने बात की अभी बोगेनविलिया की, इसमें bracts they become colored. The stamens similarly in calestemon and acacia, it has been found that the stamens they become colored. Okay, the stamens they become colored and showy just to attract the insects. The flowers are generally large in size so that they become conspicuous from a distance. This is the urgency of this is the need of the insect pollinated flowers. They need to be conspicuous so that they can be seen by the insects. The flower they generally produce an odor, they produce a smell which can be pleasant. For example, in case of jasmine, rose, or it can be a foul odor. Example is that of rafflesia. In rafflesia, the flowers they produce rotten meat like smell, and this rotten meat like smell it attracts the flies which cause pollination. And the flowers, the insect pollinated flowers, they show special markings on their petals, and these special markings they guide the insects to the nectar which is present on the flower. These markings are called nectar or honey guides. The majority of flowers they have the landing patterns for insects. The insect pollinated flowers and their petals they are strong enough to bear the weight of visiting insect. They need to be strong enough so that they can bear the weight of the visiting insect. The pollen grains they are spiny and heavy, and they are covered with yellow sticky substance which is known as pollen kit. They are spiny, they are heavy, okay. They don't need to be very much light, okay. The light pollen grains are present in case of wind pollinated flowers. The pollen grains are spiny so that they can get attached to the bodies of insects. They are sticky, and this stickiness is because of the presence of a yellow substance which is known as pollen kit. Normally, stamens are inserted except when they take part in insect attraction. Usually, the stems in case of insect pollinated flowers they are present inside the flower. They are inserted. Okay, they are present inside the flower except in case of mimosa where they cause insect attraction. Similarly, the stigmas are inserted and sticky. The stigmas they are not exerted, okay. They are inserted. They are present inside the flower. So these are some important characteristics of the insect pollinated flowers. With this we have completed entomophily, and in the next part we will study the other types of zoophily. Till then, take care of yourself and God bless you.